I recently purchased the ATN 640 HD 1 to 25. A few things to note about this. So I've owned it about 1 week, and just some sort of first impressions as well as some information as a new owner of the unit. A couple things that I've learned. Of course, we have the rubber bucket or rubber boot here that goes over the front. A lot of people will want to just first do it like this, where it's sitting up on the edge. Actually, that's not the best way to do it. I actually find that if you flip it up and over like that, that keeps it out of the way of the germanium front lens. Something else that I'd like to note about the unit is when you bring it from inside to outside, you definitely see that you need to nuke the unit or reset the sensor inside the scope several times as the temperature gets adjusted to the temperature from inside to outside. So there appears to be a correlation between the chassis temperature of the actual unit and what it's able to compensate for. So you bring it from a warm environment to a cold environment or vice versa. I find that I have to reset the sensor or nuke it a handful of times, maybe 3 or 4 times before the sensor sort of settles in. And it's not really the sensor that's settling in, it's actually the chassis and the sensor itself. I did try, even though it's not recommended, some nickel metal hydride batteries because we have lots of those because of our hobbies here, and they don't work. They do power the unit and they work just fine for powering the unit, but it shows consistently a low battery. So what I decided to do is I invested in some lithium batteries. So I got these off of Amazon. They're about 30 bucks, including the charger. And this is a very, very easy way to maintain that 1.5 volts that the system is expecting. And we go ahead and put that back in. We'll go ahead and actually take out all 4 of those batteries. One thing that I'll note is when you are putting the system together, please see that there is right here these tabs. And then when we look at the actual lid, there's some tabs as well. Those tabs are actually 90 degrees out from each other. So you don't want to put them lined up, you want to put them 90 degrees out. One of the things that I chose to do, because of the O-rings there, I decided to use some basic silicone grease. It not only helps with sort of screwing it in, but it makes sure that I get the best life out of the O-rings around it. So this is the Trident silicone grease that I use. I also play airsoft, and so we use this when we rebuild the piston O-rings inside of there. It seems like a pretty safe way to make sure that we get the maximum life out of the O-rings and they don't catch at all. So that was one of the choices that I made. If you are using this unit to not only set it up as a sight, so we've got it on a 1022 here for varmint shooting, you can see I got a little twist there, is to make sure that when you bring it from a warm environment out into a cold environment or vice versa, you bring it from an air-conditioned truck and you take it out into a warm environment, you are going to have to reset that sensor a few times. One of the things with this, I'll go ahead and rotate this down, is you can see here with the Thor HD, they have a really nice consistent release mechanism. So you just simply press this down, lift it up, and that releases it from the actual unit. Very, very nice. But when you're holding this in your hand, if your hand is warm, I believe that the heat is transferring into the chassis. The chassis is a heat sink for the unit and can leave or cause a little bit of temperature overcompensation. So you do, if you're holding this as a monocular, you want to make sure that you have the temperature set up correctly with re-nuking it several times. When you're holding it in your hands, I do find this moves very, very easily. This is the eye focus inside for viewing the screen that's built inside of here. And once you set it, I do wish that there was some locking ring or something like that that kept it moving around, but that's okay. It really is a minor complaint. The main ring that you're going to be moving is this one here to change the focus, and it makes a huge difference from focusing long distance to short distance. The nice thing is that if you're looking at something close and you push away from yourself, so imagine on the scope and your left hand's curled around the bottom of the scope, just push up with your index finger and you push that away from yourself, that's going to move you to a longer view. So far the units worked really, really nice. The one thing I guess as a feedback or maybe a slight complaint is that when you're looking through the unit at the self, and I've confirmed this with 12-year-old eyes and 14-year-old eyes, that when you look around the edge, you do get a little bit of a defocus because of the shape of the lens that's inside of here. I wish they'd use a slightly larger lens, or maybe for a redesign. And I know that they've come out with their new scopes, and maybe that's addressed here. But you do get a little bit of fuzziness on the outside edge. It's not huge, but it is something that you notice as a first-time user. You're like, why is it focused and fuzzy around the edges? I gotta turn this and that, but not a huge deal. Overall, very, very happy with the unit. I do plan on getting the laser rangefinder 1000 or 1500 here, which will allow me to do single button press for compensation. So far, very happy with the unit. I know it's a significant investment. If I had one other thing is if you're trying to justify this unit by saying, hey, I'm gonna buy this unit and it's gonna allow me to do some temperature sensing around the house and troubleshoot where the heat's coming out of the house, I haven't found that this is the way this unit works. Once you nuke the unit, it's really going to try to give you the best temperature compensation for a firing solution, not for finding hot pipes in the walls that are causing issues. You're better off with finding a different product. I did sort of mentally justify it that way, and that's not necessarily the case. This is a shooting device, and so far very much impressed and amazed with how it's worked. One other thought is a lot of people, because this is a significant investment, ATN has been fantastic. Make sure that you fill out the warranty card. Once that warranty card was filled out and was sent into them, they reached out to me and they actually asked me how the rifle's going, if I had any feedback or complaints about the unit. Super happy with their participation with this investment. One other thing to note is that inside the menu system, there's sort of a very colorful, and then there's the hot black or hot white. So I tend to use the rainbow settings to understand how to get this system pointed in the right direction. Where's my target? What's the hottest point out in the field? What is that? But when it actually comes to doing a firing solution and taking that trigger pull, I do want to switch to black and white. I find the best definition. So just identifying what's out there, you find a nice dark blue with a very, very bright yellow or red colors that tell you that's their heat signature. What is that? Helps you identify where the target is. And then you can pretty quickly through the menu system switch into the hot black or hot white to actually take the shot. So very happy with it. So far, so good. I'm very excited to manage the rodent control here and see what else we can do with the rifle. The little ones inside the household have really enjoyed sort of playing with it. You can put your hand up on a wall, a dry wall, for about 10 seconds, and that thermal image will actually remain for 10 or maybe even 15 minutes. It really is an amazing device.